everybody, it's One More Big coming from LA. I'm joined today by my colleague Spencer. He's actually going to run the webinar today and show you things about dot2. Hello everybody. So this is the dot2 on PC. I want to go through a few cool features that the dot2 has to offer. This is one of our main features of the dot2 is how clever it is. So starting off, I want to show you how the views of the dot2 are dynamic and follow you. Do we have any questions first off? Oh, okay. And don't be afraid to ask questions. We have about 45 minutes to kill, so I'd love to answer any and all questions that you might have. So feel free to start asking them if I trigger an idea in your head. So back to dynamic views. The dot2 likes to follow whichever keystroke you have going on. So up here in our command section, if we tap on effects, you'll see that screen 1 will jump to our effects page, or if we tap on page, we look at our pages, macros, presets. So the dot2 views are going to be dynamic and follow whatever keystroke you're doing. Same thing with presets. So over here on screen 2, I have my preset selected. Currently, I'm on the color preset type, and my preset view is showing my color presets. If I toggle over to Gobo, the view of screen 2 automatically changes to the Gobo presets. So this allows for a nice streamlined workflow. Okay, maybe you don't want to have screen 2 follow whatever preset you have selected. Maybe you always want it on color. But we have this pin icon up here, which will pin that preset to that view. So I can switch different preset types over here, and I'll always have my color presets available for me on screen 2. Okay, so that's one example of how this console is so clever. How about another one? We have this magic button here. Okay, this is going to be your master speed, your master rate, and your exec time and program time. If you're familiar with the MA2, we brought in that MA DNA of exec time and program time, and also speed masters into the dot2. So here's a cool example of that. Let's create a chaser. Okay, so we'll go to my fixtures. I'm going to turn off everything by tapping MA and then tapping off everything. There we go. I'm going to switch over to the pool view of my fixture sheet. Start off with my spots, bring them to full, and we'll drop them into a nice lavender. Okay, we'll store that as Q1 on this executor. Okay, and like in MA2, in dot2, we want you to label everything so you stay organized. So I'm going to call this lav. And let's go into another color. We'll go into sea green, store that as Q2. And one more, we'll go to violet, store that as Q3. Okay, I'm going to edit this, take a look at it. 3 Qs, let's name this green. And we'll name the next Q, what was that, violet. Cool. All right, so we have 3 Qs. Let's see what that looks like. Blue, sea green, violet, great. Let's make that a chaser now. As simple as tapping the edit key, the executor, and then up here we have the settings for that executor. It's a little wrench symbol. Okay, here you have a couple of different options. First one is chaser. We'll give that a check mark, and now you'll notice the GUI has turned into a nice cyan. That's telling us that this is a sequence chaser versus yellow being a sequence. Okay, so now when we escape out of that and we hit go, our sequence is now chasing. Okay, maybe I want to control the speed of this sequence. Well, that's where our master speed comes into play. And maybe instead of using the GUI, I want to assign it to a specific executor. Simple enough. Tap on the GUI above the executors to get this executor page pop up. I find a blank executor here. Tap on that. And now it's asking me, what do I want to assign to this executor? Do I want to assign a sequence executor, group master, speed master, or program exec time? Well, we'll choose speed master, and we can choose between that speed master or the rate master. I'm going to choose speed, And now you'll notice my sequence chaser has stopped because my master speed has stopped. As I bring up my BPMs, I have control over the speed of that chaser. Maybe I want to tap the tempo. This button right here is going to default to learn. So I can tap a tempo here and my chaser will follow. So again, you have this easy setup for a sequence chaser, maybe a step-based effect, and the ability to control that speed. Very clever, very easy. What else do we have here? Effects. Okay, the effects engine on the dot2 it's pretty simple. It's easy. Let's do a position effect. I'm going to turn off this sequence chaser. So first off, we got to select our fixtures. We'll bring those to full. You know, actually, instead of doing a position effect, we'll do a color effect so we can see it here. It's as simple as either tapping the effect hard key or going into that preset type and touching the figure 8 symbol up here. This is going to be your effect engine. You have a couple of predefined effects to work with. I'm going to do a 2-color soft. Okay, if we look back at our fixture sheet, we're seeing just like that with the click of 3 buttons, we have a white and blue color effect. Well, maybe I want to assign two specific colors. Very easy to do as well. We can use our color presets as the low and the high color for our effect. So all I need to do is go back into the color preset type, go into the effect engine, and assign my low and high values. That's going to be located in the blue title bar of the effects. Okay, so I tap on the low value. I could pick a color in the color picker, or I can pick a color from my color presets. Okay, so there's the low value, and here comes the high value. We'll do a nice magenta. And now looking at my fixture sheet, I've quickly assigned the low and high values of that color effect. It's easy, so easy. The dot2 makes it easy because of the cleverness of the software. Okay, let's talk more about this fixture sheet. There are 2 ways to view the fixture sheet. Okay, this is the pool view where you get a more graphical interface. So maybe I have a color in, I'm going to drop in a gobo, and we'll do some prism. Taking a look back at the fixture sheet, we see that we have a gobo in there. Down here is going to be your position information. So right now our fixtures are at 0, 0. Maybe I can tilt them downstage a little bit. Take a look at my fixture sheet again. Now we see that tilt information, pan information would be here. We have a dimmer bar over here and the fixture ID here. In addition, you have the name of your fixtures, the fixture type at the top. And that's how your fixture sheet is organized, is by fixture type. Okay, so this is the graphical way to view your fixtures. If you want to see more of an Excel sheet version, you would tap this icon up here in the gray title bar. And now you have a little bit more text to see what's going on with your fixtures in the sheet view. Okay, you'll notice a couple of different things here. We have red in the background and red text, as well as red tick marks next to these preset types. That's telling me that that information is active, and that is what's going to be stored to a queue. So if I like this as my look, I'm going to go back to the graphical look. Okay, it's all good. I want to store this to a queue. As soon as I hit store, it's going to say, hey, this is all your active information, and this is what's going to get stored to the queue. So now I can just tap on this executor, clear out my programmer, bring that up, and there it is. There's my look. Simple as that. So the fixture sheet here has a lot of very useful information when programming, and I highly recommend keeping this fixture sheet open on either one of your views or your screens or on your external monitor. It's a very, very important view to look at. What other views do we have here? Groups pool, pretty generic. You can look at your queue sheet here. This will give you the number of queues, the name of that queue. So maybe you label when that queue gets fired. So this queue gets fired when the actors are on stage. Okay. A new feature of this software version is the protect column. This is if you want to block information from tracking later on. You also have the ability to change the trigger here. About 6 different options here: a timed cue, a follow cue. Maybe you're receiving sound input from your audio guy and you want the bass kick to fire this cue stack. You can also use a BPM trigger or time code, linear time code. You have global timing here, and you also have the ability to manipulate specific preset type attribute timing or delay timing, fade and delay. And all the way on the far end, you have this awesome command line link. Again, this is MA-DNA. We have the command line link in the MA2. We figured it was a good idea to have it in the dot2. If I want to have syntax fired on this cue, I could say go exec 1.1. And every time I hit go for Q1, it's also going to fire this command syntax. You have virtual playback, DMX input, very useful for troubleshooting. I'd like to note this icon up here. It'll tell you what DMX address is controlling what attribute of that fixture. So this is a very handy tool to use when troubleshooting a fixture that's not behaving properly. And then always the command line feedback, very useful. I always recommend having this open on your external monitor as well. Speaking about the external monitor, if you want to rearrange the information here, that's going to happen in setup and select views for external screen. So I can change the arrangement. I can change what's going on that view. That all happens in setup. Okay. In addition, the dot2 can send 2 different network protocols, ArtNet and SACN, and those get mapped to universes 1 through 8. You're also outputting dot2net, which is Internet Protocol version 6, meaning you don't have to set up IP addresses. All you have to do is create a new session and then add devices to your session. So 3D, maybe you have a console with on PC backup. You would go here to the sessions window to set all that up. Maybe you have a DMX node with DMX ports. A dot2 node specifically. That's where you add it here. Okay. A little bit in the advanced settings, you have remote inputs. So you can receive an analog input, you can receive a MIDI input, or you can receive a DMX input. And these inputs can either trigger an executor, or it can trigger a specific command that you tell it to. So this could be cool if you have an APC40 that your DJ is using and have him fire cues as he's firing cues on maybe Ableton. Let's take a look at the patch and fixture schedule. Again, the dot2 is very clever and makes this simple and easy. A couple of columns here. You have your fixture type. So what kind of fixtures are in your rig? That's going to correlate with what fixture profile you're going to use. The fixture ID, this is how you would call it with your number pad. The name that shows up in your fixture sheet, and the patch information, as well as lining up 3D with your real world. You can invert the pan and tilt of the DMX and invert the pan and tilt of the encoder. So you can make your encoders move your fixtures that works for you in your mind. Maybe we want to add some new fixtures. Well, that's simple. You just tap on the Add New Fixtures button up here. You have labels on everything as to what these categories are for. So if you tap on the ... on the far right of type, you'll see a list of your fixture types already patched to your show file. Maybe you don't see your fixture there. You can tap Select Other. And you have a library of roughly 8,500 fixture profiles on a number of different manufacturers. If you don't see the fixture profile here in the library, you can always go to MA Share, to the Fixture Share section, download the profile there. Now it will say Grand MA2 fixture profiles. That's the beautiful thing about dot2 is it shares profiles with the MA2. So a dot2 profile and an MA2 profile are all in the same. There's also a dot2 fixture share at the MA-dot2 website. So this is what your search for your profiles looks like. You have your manufacturers, the model or device name, and the mode. In addition, your encoders will be able to manipulate these different columns. Note the far left encoder is going to be for your drive. So right now it's looking at the internal drive. If I had a USB stick plugged in, I would change the drive here to my USB stick. Okay, best of all, you have a search bar at the top. So maybe I want to patch a clay packing Mythos. All I have to do is type in Mythos. It knows that Mythos is a clay packy and it gives you the modes to choose from. So I'll choose vector lamp on, click OK. Now I get to choose the quantity. I'll do 18. And I get to change the fixture ID. We'll start this at 501. This is the name that appears in the fixture sheet and the patch. I want to show you what the patch GUI looks like. Over on the left-hand side, you have the universes to choose from, 1 through 8. That's the maximum number that the dot2 can control. It's 4,096 channels or 8 universes. Okay, so maybe I want to go into universe 2, and you'll notice that there's a nice big green chunk that is this fixture profile. That's telling you how many channels that this fixture profile takes up. So this is about a 34 channel profile. If I were to patch it to say like 1.440, that's going to conflict with this fixture profile and it'll turn red. So it's telling you, hey, you're about to conflict with another profile, heads up. So I'm going to go to universe 2, channel 1. I can also type it in here, 3.1, 2.1, etc. Cool. All we have to do is click OK, and now our Mythos are a part of our show file. To apply all these changes, I can click Done and choose the big gray button, Apply All Changes. And now in my fixture sheet, I have 18 new Mythos profiles. Cool. You think of any other features to talk about?
That's a pretty good overview. The dot2 is a very powerful software. I know we kind of breezed over some of the features. That's because this was just a dot2 overview. If you guys have questions, send them over. There's a questions area in your GoToWebinar that you can ask questions. If you think of things in the future, you're always welcome to email support@aclighting.com, and we will get back to you. Hey, Spencer, you want to talk about how this on-PC software relates to the physical hardware?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So down here, let's think of having a core in front of us, the dot2 core. The dot2 core has 2 integrated touchscreens. So on PC, this is your screen 1, and this is your screen 2. Right below screen 2 is going to be your 6 executor faders. So that's going to be these guys right here. These executor faders also have 2 executor buttons associated with that fader. So this is all one executor. And then you have 12 individual and separate executor buttons. Okay. To the right of that, you have your 2 100mm faders. This is your main cue stack with your big go plus, go minus, and pause buttons. The console knows that you want to store here whenever you hit store please, or if you hit store here, it knows that you want to store to the main executor. And then over to the right, you have your command section. This is where all of your hard keys are. So your number pad, I like to call this the thumb section because if you have your fingers here, your thumb's going to lay here. You'll notice that if you look at the dot2 and then look at the MA2, this section right here is very similar. The idea with that is you jump on a dot2 You start learning the MA way of programming, you learn syntax, you learn workflow, and you learn muscle memory. Once you've graduated from the dot2, you can take this muscle memory and apply it to the MA2. Very simply, very easy. Maybe we have an F wing and a B wing attached to our core. Those windows are going to be located up here on the top left. So I can scroll over to the F wing. It also has an integrated touchscreen plus the 8 executor faders and 16 executor buttons, which are up here. Again, the max combination that you can have with a dot2 is a core plus 2 F wings plus 2 B wings. Everybody has their own integrated touchscreen, and you can have an additional 1 external monitor. So to get to those different views, you just tap on these buttons up here. Maybe you need to change the scaling of the dot2 on PC. That happens up here in the top right corner. It's a little diagonal arrow button. Right now, the default scaling is 100. You'll notice that I'm over at the the core, but I can see part of the F-wing. Maybe I don't want to see that, so I'm going to change my scaling. Okay, so now I'm just looking at the core, and then when I scoot over to the F-wing, I'm mostly just seeing the F-wing, B-wing, etc.
Somebody had a question. They noticed the screen 1 changes a lot. What does the hard keys make that change?
Yeah, so like I was saying in the very beginning, screen 1 is dynamic. It's going to follow whatever keystroke you have here. So if I tap Effect, the Effect hard key, screen 1 is going to change to my effects for the selected preset type. If I tap on Preset, this screen is going to change to my presets for the selected preset type. Okay, so the idea is it's dynamic and it follows your keystrokes for a nice, smooth workflow.
Cool.
Yeah. The dot2 in a nutshell.
Yeah. I'm not getting any other questions at the moment. And that was our basic overview. If there's anything specific you want answered, just type the question there. Any kind of specific workflow you want us to show you, we can. If you don't have questions right now, we will likely move on with our day. And we're totally available via support@aclighting.com. You can always call us as well. And we will have future webinars on dot2.
I just thought of a cool thing that the dot2 can do. Similar to the MA2 and its effects pools, you can store an effect to a preset. So maybe I like this color effect that I'm doing. Maybe I want to reassert that information. So I'm just going to turn this off to not get confused. I have my fixtures selected. In color, I go to the effect engine. I do that 2-color soft effect. And if I look at my fixture sheet, confirmed, got those fixtures running in the blue and white effect. I want to go back and do my blue and magenta effect, confirm in the fixture sheet, cool. And I want to store this as a preset so I can use it again. All I have to do is tap store and then tap in the preset pool of that effect. So this is a color effect. Therefore, I want to store to a color preset. And now I'll label it for organizational purposes. Call this blue magenta. And now I have a selective effect for these alpha spots of a blue and magenta color effect. And this can happen for all preset types: position, dimmer, beam, etc.
All right, Spencer, how many channels does the dot2 control?
So a dot2 console, a core, an XLF, an XLB, will grant you 4,096 channels. That's 8 universes. Now note, there are 4 DMX ports on the back of your console. aka that's your first 4 universes. If you want access to the next 4 universes, then you'll have to get a physical DMX port. And that DMX node that has the DMX ports can be a .2 node, it could be an ArtNet node, or it can be an SACN node. You are granted 4,096 channels, but you need physical DMX ports to get to those last 4 universes. On a .2 on PC, you're not granted any channels because the software is free. If you want to do a show, then you'd have to get a .2 1K node, and that will give you 1,024 channels to control with your on PC solution. Now you can get up to 10 nodes in a session, in one session. That doesn't mean you get 10,000 parameters on PC. On PC will only control 1,024 channels. The reason that you can have 10 nodes in a session is for physical DMX ports. In addition, a .2 console, a core, an XLF, and XLB, you cannot parameter expand above 8 universes. You're given 8 universes to control, and that's it. To be honest, I wouldn't want to control a show over 8 universes with .2. I feel like that'd be too many fixtures to scroll through in the fixture sheet.
If you buy a .2, are you able to upgrade the software?
Absolutely. Software is always free, and it's always evolving. So if you're a user and you find a feature that is missing here, or you think of a really cool feature that you'd like to see, or you even find a bug, always email us at support@ACT Lighting, and we will report that to MA. They will fix that in the software, and hopefully they will assign that to the next software version and release a new software version. But yes, software is always free.
Cool. Well, it looks like those were all the questions. Do you think of anything else, Spencer? The assignment. So all these buttons, these executor buttons, these executor faders, they can have different functionalities to them. I think the quickest way to assign that functionality, tapping the edit button, and then, or actually no, going back into this GUI, right above your executors, you have on your internal touchscreen, you have a little executor GUI. If you tap on that, you get this pop-up, executors of page 1 pop-up. And then you have another setting icon in the top right corner. If you tap on this, it takes you to the window that allows you to change the functionality of all these buttons. You're given 8 different functionalities. I'm a big fan of temp. That gives you timing in and timing out, opposed to flash, where it's just a flash on, flash off. You have learn, a go back, select. What select is really cool. It allows you to select the fixtures stored to that executor. But again, like in the MA2, you have the ability to change executor buttons functionality simply by, again, tapping on the GUI above the executors, tapping on the settings wrench, and tapping on the executor that you'd like to change its functionality. So that's pretty neat and simple. You can also change the functionality by editing that executor and going into its settings. And right here, you have the ability to change the fader to master, crossfade, or temp fade. And there's a little description of each functionality, as well as changing the button, the executor button's functionality. So 2 ways to get there. Well, a couple more questions came in. One was about pricing. The best way to get pricing is actually going to be email sales@actlighting.com. Spencer and I are part of the technical support and education team. We don't pay close attention to the pricing. So I'd urge you to get the official pricing via sales@aclighting.com. Another question here was, what operating system is it based on? MA Lighting builds their own custom version of Linux for stability reasons, and the dot2 is a custom-built Linux for stability, so you can not worry about some of the other operating systems that exist out there. All right. Well, there's your overview of dot2.
Yeah, it's took 30 minutes to tell you a lot of the cool features of the dot2. It just goes to show that this is a clever, easy to use board. I like to think that someone could step up to the console and learn it in an hour just by poking around. And then maybe if you guys have specific questions, always give us a call, and I'm always happy to help. I'm kind of the dot2 guy, fixture profile guy, so call support, ask for Spencer, and I'll be there to answer any and all questions.
And yes, the dot2 is available right now. You could buy it. It's been out for going on just about 1 year now. It's been available. So the email sales@aclighting.com, and they will help you source it. I know we have it on the shelf, and various dealers across the country will have them available for purchase.
I'm pretty sure
or rent.
It debuted last year at USITT.
Yeah, so it debuted last year at USITT. All right, everybody. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in, you guys. See you later.
Cheers.